Okay, we're going to finish up 5.2, just a real short set of notes today. I just want to talk to you guys about something called function notation. So we remember we learned on Friday that functions are special relations. Okay, so two words that I just want to remind you about. One is domain, and domain is our x values, and the other one is our range, and those are our y values. And that'll come back into play after. But function notation is just a special way to write an equation. And I don't want you to overthink it, okay? This is not hard, it's just weird, okay? So the function v is equal to 25/100ths q. If we wrote it as function notation, what we would do is we would say v of q is equal to 25/100ths q. Okay, so all we've really done is we've taken the variable that's on the right-hand side, we've included it on the left-hand side in small case, and we've just enclosed it in brackets. Okay, so here, this is what we call a two-variable equation. That's pretty straightforward. There's two variables, okay? So this is called a two-variable, just the name we have for it. It's not a big deal. Here we've written it as function notation v of q, okay, is equal to 25/100ths q. We're not going to change the way that we approach solving the question or anything, just another way to write the equation. Okay, so I've got an example here, but we're going to jump down to the bottom, okay? It says using function notation to determine values. The equation v is equal to negative 8/100ths d plus 50. Okay, so written as a two-variable equation there, two variables. So just what we would maybe even call a regular way to write the equation. That's how you've seen it in the past before. Okay, V represents the volume in liters of gas remaining in a vehicle's tank after driving D, which stands for distance in this case, kilometers, which makes sense, right? Because here's the starting volume of here's the starting volume of the gas in the tank. Okay, it holds 50 liters, and it makes sense that as we drive, it should be a negative number here, because as we drive, the volume of the gas goes down, and that would be the amount remaining, okay? So if I asked you to describe the function and write the equation in function notation, and again, don't let the vocabulary freak you out. The volume of gas remaining in a vehicle's tank is a function of the distance traveled. So I take this two-variable equation. How would I write it as function notation? I would take the d on the right-hand side, and I would include it in brackets in small case right beside the variable that was on the left-hand side. How would I read this now? V of d is equal to negative 8/100ths d plus 50. Okay, and again, we're not overthinking it here. So two-variable function notation. Okay, so now this is where it gets a little tricky, and this is simply a memorization game. Okay, it says determine v of 600. What does this mean? Now, when we have this in brackets, okay, this 600 is going to replace the D on the right-hand side. And you just have to know this. You learn this and you know this, okay? So we take the original equation, V of D is equal to negative 8/100ths d plus 50. And if we are asked V of 600, okay, we are going to put the 600 in here for D, and we're going to solve for the V of 600. Okay, so we're going to put it in on the right-hand side, and I've done all the math for you here. 600 times negative 8/100ths is negative 48. Negative 48 plus 50 is 2. So when we're trying to determine how much volume is left in the truck, okay, it makes sense that if we drive 600 kilometers, we should probably only have 2 liters of gas left in the tank, and we need to pull into a gas station, okay? Now, determine the value when V of D is equal to 26. So I want you to take a look here and here, and what is the difference? The equal sign. So when I was a kid, I want to tell you how I remember to put this on the left-hand side, because that's where we're going to put it. Okay, Mr. Anholt taught me this. Equal ends in L, and left begins in L. So that's how I know I'm going to put it on the left-hand side. Okay, what this is saying is if there's 26 liters of gas left in the vehicle, how far did we drive? That's what we're trying to figure out. So we replace this entire thing with 26, and then we just do the math, okay? It's a type 2 equation. Okay, we're going to subtract 50 from both sides. This sometimes freaks people out. We get negative 24 over here, but that's okay. Okay, when we divide negative 24 by negative 8/100ths, we end up with a positive 300. That means when there's 26 liters of gas left in the vehicle, we have traveled 300 kilometers. Okay, so let's work through one together here. It says the equation C is equal to 25n plus 1,000 represents the cost for a feast following an Arctic sports competition, where N is the number of people attending and C is the cost. This is a two-variable equation. That's how I want you to identify it now. Now it's going to ask us to describe the function, and then we're going to write it as function notation. So we already sort of basically did that, right? The cost of a feast is a function of the number of people attending, okay? So that would be how you describe it in words. More importantly, how are we going to write this as function notation? Don't overthink this. Here it is as a two variable. We're going to go C of N. You see we took that little variable on the right-hand side, put it in brackets, is equal to 25N plus 1,000. That's simple as that. Okay, now we got to think about this. Did we remember from up here? Determine the value of C of 100. What does this number represent? Okay, what side is that going to go on? It's going to go on the right-hand side. Only the C is going to be replaced. C of 100 is equal to 25 times 100 plus 1,000. And now we just work it out. 2,500 plus 1,000. And so C of 100, which means 100 people attended the feast, is going to be $3,500. $3,500 is the cost for 100 people to attend. Okay, so that was just an exercise in remembering what side of the equation do we put that on. So now, here we go. C of N is equal to 5,000. What does this number represent? That number represents the total cost. We're going to put that on the left-hand side. And now we're going to try and figure out if we got a bill for $5,000, how many people attended. So type 2 equation. We're going to subtract 1,000 from both sides. We get 4,000 is equal to 25N. Divide both sides by 25. Okay, and N is equal to, I think it's 160, but I'm just going to double check because it's early. 160 people attended. Okay, so what does that represent? It represents the number of people. Okay.